Continuing our team coverage now of the Republican presidential debate, Dr. Chris Grant with the Mercer University Political Science Department joins us live in our studio with Raymond Tubb. Raymond.
Of course, we saw a lot of anticipation of tonight's event, but it's important to remember we're still 6 months away from the first primary votes that are going to take place. That's going to be in Iowa, and Georgia voters won't get to decide which Democrat or Republican they want to represent the party as a presidential candidate until March, most likely. So we are joined by Dr. Grant with Mercer University. So we're so far out. How important was tonight?
Well, I think when you have a field of 17 candidates, anytime you get to have the spotlight and get a chance to show your muster, it's important. And there are some folks that I think came off well tonight, and there's some that may have been a little bit more volatile.
What did you think of the different candidate showings? Who were some of the ones that you thought stood out?
Well, I thought that Scott Walker did well. He certainly appealed to his base. I think the folks that are committed to Dr. Ben Carson are really committed, and he said the things that they wanted to hear. I thought that Governor Bush didn't do so well in terms of setting himself apart as a commanding candidate at this point. But he's got a lot of money and a lot of organization, so he may not have to do as well as some of the others.
Of course, before the big debate tonight, you did have the candidates that were not in the top 10. They kind of met amongst themselves. Did any of them do anything to maybe change their future in the polls?
Well, it looks like Carly Fiorina really did well there. She had some great sound bites. She was really sharp, and she's gotten a lot of buzz in the hours since then. And I wonder about someone like Rick Santorum, whether there's enough room in the field for two very socially conservative candidates, Rick Santorum and Mike Huckabee. They're not dividing the same base, and that Huckabee may be able to move a bit more forward, and Santorum's campaign may fizzle at this point.
Who do you think had the most to win tonight, and who had the most to lose with this debate?
Well, I think that there's a couple of people that had a good bit to win. I think John Kasich, governor of Ohio, who's trying to find a place for himself in the GOP, who kind of transcends some of the blocks in the GOP. I think he could do well, and I think he did do well. And I think Scott Walker did well, and also a candidate that can put feet in several of the different bases. I think Governor Bush didn't have a bad night by any stretch of the imagination, but I don't think he had a brilliant night. Donald Trump didn't have a breakthrough night either, but he didn't flounder. And so maybe if you don't stick your foot in your mouth, you win.
I was going to ask, I mean, Trump came in with such a split field. He has a commanding lead at this point. Where do you think he goes from here?
I don't know. I mean, if this were 2012, we saw the balloons go up and come down. We saw Herman Cain go up and come down. We saw the Gingrich balloon go up and come down.
Right.
I think a lot of folks saw Trump as a similar candidate. I don't think that's what's happening, though. I think he has struck a nerve with the GOP base, and he's holding on. I don't know if this is a ceiling, that he stays at about a quarter. Can he get above that as time goes on? My suspicion is there's not a lot of people out there that are saying he's my second choice. I think he's the first choice for a significant, dedicated part of the GOP. I'm not sure he's the second choice for anybody, so his numbers may not go up so much. But you did see Governor Kasich making a real appeal, saying, Mr. Trump's made some really important points, and saying we need to listen to him. So there's already a competition for who's going to receive those votes should Trump decline.
Well, campaigns run on money. That's part of the reason tonight was important, because the ones that are faltering, if they can't get it going, they're not going to be able to appeal for campaign donations and stuff. Georgia is supposed to head to the polls for its primary in March, early March. Obviously, nowhere near 17 candidates around at that point. When do we start thinning the field, and how many do you think will be here by then?
I'd be surprised if there were 17 in even at the end of next month. I think that Governor Perry, Senator Santorum are probably trying to figure out where their base is and whether they can attract money at this point, and it may be over for them even by September, October. So I think there's going to be a coalescing in some of the bases in the GOP. I think there's going to be a social conservative candidate. There's going to be sort of a moderate, stable, centrist candidate. I think there's going to be an anti-establishment candidate, and then I think that there's room for one or two more people to be in there, and the candidate that wins is the candidate that's going to be able to bridge some of those divides.
So maybe 5 or 6 by next March?
My hunch would be we have about 6 by March 1.
All right. Well, it should be interesting to watch how we get there.